Okay, so my first film was Revenge. I really liked the script because it escalated super quickly and it was very entertaining to do. And I really liked all the people that I got to work with. They were really fun and it was a good welcoming project for the class. I felt like I understood what the class was about and it just got me really excited for what we were going to be doing this year. Um, In this particular film, I was a producer um, and also a director. In the second part of the scene, right after they leave here, I directed the park part because Susie could not be there. And I really was happy and grateful for that opportunity. And I think that it was a really fun scene to direct. I really enjoyed working with the actors, and I think that they did a pretty good job considering two of the three actors were crew members. Um, and I also just think it was really fun because there were so many cool angles that Daxton got. And I was so thankful that Daxton was the cinematographer because he felt very comfortable with the camera and getting angles. And so I kind of let him have creative control over it, and I didn't really give him too much direction. Unfortunately, in this scene, the light was fading fast and it was starting to sprinkle, so we had to hurry and get the project done. And I wish we had a little bit more time because then we probably would be a little bit more careful and cautious, um, and we would have like noticed things like there was a cord in the background or taken our time. But unfortunately, it was what it was. So. My favorite scene was definitely the ending shot where Caitlin points the gun down at Shannon and the music goes silent and she shoots her. And there's such a cool angle with the camera, like, kind of just staring up at the gun. And then the music resumes right after the gunshot. And it sounds so cool and it looks so cool and I just love it.
Please, no, please!
I also loved getting a chance to be a producer as well. It was cool getting to do two different parts because the directing was a really cool scene that I got to do, and I loved doing the choreography for the fight scene because it was something I had never done before, and I thought it was really interesting.
No, Elise, don't do this! Please, no, please!
I had so much to do as producer at the same time because I had to be in contact with the police because we were using a fake gun in a public place, and we definitely didn't want any legal issues, and we didn't, which was really good. But it was a little nerve-wracking contacting the police. But I think I handled myself in a clear, calm manner, and so I was very proud of myself for that. Yeah, and I really liked this film. My second film that I made was Last Day of School, and this was kind of a crazy project to do because I originally was going to co-direct with Kyle, and then things kind of got a little crazy because we had creative differences. So I decided to go do the thing by myself, and I had basically a week to do it. So I had trouble finding actors, and I found Libby and another guy, and unfortunately, he never got back to me, and I didn't know if he was actually going to show up to the shoot, so I had to recast the day before, and I also had to get a different cinematographer because Keenan got injured and couldn't come. So, and the cinematographer wasn't even in the class, so it was a little crazy. And I wish we could have gotten like in this particular scene. I wish we could have gotten different angles instead of just one very basic shot. And that was something I was talking to Caitlin about when she was editing it. Was that she wanted more shots, and I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have any more. So unfortunately, it was not all that I had hoped for, but I gave it my all, and I worked really hard on getting the actors to give me the best performance they could. Something that was insanely awkward was that when I showed up at Libby's to film, my other actor had showed up, and so I had my replacement actor. So I couldn't turn my actor down. Instead, I decided to film it twice with both actors, and it was very different because I gave similar directions to both and got different results from both. And I ended up going with my replacement actor since he had his lines memorized and he fit the role better. It was also interesting to see how Libby played off of two different actors. I had to tweak the script a couple times because there were just a couple places that was a little awkward, and I just wanted to make it a little less awkward. I mean, the overall script was just awkward in general, especially when they like were about to kiss, and then they just like, everything was just so awkward. But I wanted to make it super awkward because when I read it, that's just like what came to mind. So I kind of directed them that way. And I liked how it came out. I know that people, when they watched it, were like, this is kind of uncomfortable and weird, but I think that that was what the script was going for, at least in my opinion. So I was proud of how it turned out, even if it was seriously uncomfortable to watch. It was kind of awkward to film at the same time because when we were filming specifically this scene, they kept laughing a lot. And but I do like right here that this was the best one because it seems sort of natural, the way Libby just moves her head like that, and it was kind of in a cute friendship way, and yeah. My acting scene that I did, I picked from the film Mermaids, um, and I really enjoyed doing this. This was probably one of my favorite projects, which is funny because it had nothing to really to do with filming or getting cool angles and all that stuff. It was really just to do with the acting, and I think that's how I discovered that I really wanted to just primarily work with actors, was because of this scene. Um, Sadly, I didn't get to act like the other directors did, which I kind of wish I did because I wanted to know what the actors wanted when we direct them. So I asked Shannon and Libby, who are my actors, periodically for advice and tips on what I was doing well and what they wanted me to do differently when I was directing them. We started out very basic with the script and we read through it. Neither one had seen the movie, so I kind of gave them background, but not too much because I wanted them to have their own creative thoughts and bring the character to life in their own way. And we ran through it a few times, and I would just stop them periodically and give them my feedback and say, okay, I want you to do it like this, or I want you to do it like that. And eventually I think that they like formed these characters in their minds, and from the background information that I gave them, from what was going on in the scene, and like how they were playing on their characters. And then they were so great. And what was amazing is like I sent them a link to the film if they wanted to watch that particular scene. And I said that they didn't have to because I didn't want it to influence their performance. But I said they could if they wanted to like have a little bit more background. And neither one of them wanted to watch it. And which was so cool, but by the end of their acting performance, they were like almost perfect in the sense that it was exactly the same as how the movie did it. And I showed it to them afterwards, and they were like, wow, but like it was really cool to see that they were just so close and spot on. I think Libby was perfect as this mother who has made bad decisions, who is not quite the best mother in the world, but she goes from such a like furious person who's just screaming and yelling, and like I was just terrified of her when I was watching this, to somebody who was just motherly and wanted to take care of her daughter. And Shanna was so great as just this girl who messed up and was afraid of her mom and mad at her mom, and there was just like all these different emotions and conflicting thoughts, and they just did a really good job at conveying this like really harsh scene into a very like sweet motherly scene, and I just love the switch. They did a really great job. Something I did before we started filming was I gave them a little piece of paper and I said, okay, here's your character, and here's like a bulleted list of some personality traits about them, and here's some like things that's going through their heads during this particular scene, because I knew that neither of them had read the script, and then I did it for both characters, and they really liked it, and they said it was very helpful, and so I think that was something that I would definitely do again, is give like talk about like that particular scene, because characters change, like especially in this scene, like this is one of the very last scenes in the movie, and so I was like, well, they're not the same character from the beginning, but here's how they have been. Here's how they're changing because of these circumstances, and they seem to like really play well off of that. So I think I'm gonna do that again for sure. I think something I also realized is that their performances got better as it kept going on. Like before we actually did our main performance, I had them do it a couple times, and I had them talk about the characters, because they got more into character as I talked about it. When Libby was talking about how infuriated her character was at her daughter, I could just see the difference between her being sort of mad to being furious, and I loved doing that as well. One particularly difficult part was that there was a slap, and you know, when you're doing a movie and you're doing slaps, you have this ability to kind of manipulate the camera and edit and make it look realistic, but it was a stage thing. So I never wanted her to put her back to the audience, but I think that it worked well. And it really did look realistic, and Shannon's reaction and Libby's reaction was just perfect for it. Like her pain, her shock that she did that to her daughter, and her shock that her mother actually did that to her, that she drove her mother to slap her. It was all just perfect. And I think that this was definitely one of my favorite scenes and my favorite things to do this year.